Ja, ich bin's wieder, Konsole, Jahren, hier mit meinem Let's Play von Außer Investigations Prosecutor's Path. Und beim letzten Mal haben wir herausgefunden, dass der Typ auf dem Video nicht, wie vermutet, Knightley war, sondern hier Jay. Albert, der uns vor uns steht, und das Tier, was ihn in Anführungszeichen angegriffen hat, eigentlich sein Bär Rocky war. Und nicht Anubis. Ja, dann. Dementsprechend, er müsste doch irgendetwas gesehen haben, was uns beim Fall helfen könnte. Also, hopp, sag mal, was du weißt. So it was you guys. You were the ones who found my secret tunnel. It took me ages to dig that. The day the body was found was the day I had planned to escape and was in disguise. Then Rookie followed after me. But it was all covered in mud. I panicked and returned to my cell. Damn, if only you guys hadn't shown up. If only Knightley hadn't died. You said you dug the tunnel. What did you use to dug it? Oh, that. Just hammers and spoons. Stuff like that. Sorry, ich hab grad was getrunken. I bought them from the supplier, but it was all for nothing. No need to lose your temper. There's always next time. On the day of the incident, it's possible that Albert met Knightley while he was alive. I'll have to listen to his testimony carefully. Okay, Entkräftung! When the body was found. Ich mag die Musik, die ist cool. The body was found. Did you obtain the guard's uniform from the supplier too? Yeah, that's right. Seems you got it by threatening a guard. That guy went and stole it from someone's locker. So, when you went through the tunnel, you were already dressed like a guard? Oh, to ensure that the clothes wouldn't get stained with mud, I carried them with me. Once I got out of the hole and changed clothes, getting out the cell doors was simple. And that's when Rocky ran up and jumped on me. That must be the moment the security camera captured. I see. Could you add that to your testimony? Once I got out of the hole and changed clothes, getting out the cell doors was simple. Aha. Wie simpel genau. You say it was simple getting through the cell door? Yeah, that's right. You got a problem with that, huh? Even though you managed to arrive at Knightley's cell, opening the door wasn't so simple. How did you intend to unlock the cell door? J. Albert, you had the key to Knightley's cell. I ain't got nothing like that. That's it. It was open. It was already unlocked when I got there. Indeed, the cell was vacant after Knightley's death, which is why, at the time we conducted our investigation, it was unlocked. Your successful escape attempt occurred after Knightley's death, so the door would have been open. However, you had tried to escape once before then. The plan was foiled thanks to Rocky. The video shows it. Yes, that was during the animal show, before Knightley's death was known. And the cell door was locked, because no one knew he was dead. Without the key to Knightley's cell, your escape would have been impossible. Ugh. Ugh. That means it can't be. It's exactly what you think. In the case of the stolen key, the culprit is J. Albert, you were the one who attacked the guard, weren't you? The guard, and Knightley too, in order to steal the cell key. It wasn't me! I don't know any Knightley! After stealing the key, you returned to your cell as a precautionary measure. Then you waited for a time when the prison would be mostly vacant. That was just before Knightley's death became known. In other words, during the animal show. But in the end, the plan was foiled thanks to Rocky. Don't screw with me. If you don't have evidence, I'll still win by decision. Besides, it was that Knightley guy who attacked the guard, right? I think not. Regarding the theft of the keys, Knightley was the victim. This proves Knightley was the victim who was attacked by his cell. Habe ich gerade irgendwie leiser gestellt? Merkwürdig. Na gut, egal. Ja. That the victim was attacked in his cell. Naja, wir haben immer noch die Blutspuren. In Knightley's cell, there were traces of his blood, which had been wiped away. I believe this is more than enough proof Knightley was attacked in his cell. You attacked those two people and stole their key, didn't you? Oh! Damn! I never thought you'd find the bloodstain I wiped away with the newspaper. Why would you go through all the trouble of wiping the bloodstain? On the hands of Knightley and the guard, there were obvious signs of a scuffle, you know? And the bloodstains were uncovered, they found out there was another attacker. And if anyone looked around the bed, the tunnel I dug would be discovered. So you were trying to buy more time for your escape attempt. But I'm afraid to say your plan still ended in failure. Now then, hand over the keys to Knightley's cell. Oh! Oh! KO! Dang, dang, dang! No way! How could an amateur like you knock me out? Here, I got the keys right here. Danke! Idiot. Hold it! If you have that key, then that means... That's right, Judge Courtney. You reasoned that Knightley stole the key and used it to leave his cell. From there, he entered with the keys cage and was moved to the workroom. However, the very foundation of that hypothesis was collapsed! Ah! How? I see. In that case, there was only one person who could have moved Knightley. The criminal must have been someone who knew about the secret tunnel. Hey, are you suggesting? J. Albert, you are under arrest, pal! Wait, I didn't do nothing! Sure, I knocked out those two guys, then I stole the keys. And after that, I waited for the perfect time to enter that guy's cell. But the cell was empty then. There was no dead body either. And also, how could I have gotten into the workroom? I couldn't even leave my own cell, right? It's true, you only had the key to Knightley's cell. But there's also Dogan's dog. What? It'd be impossible for the dog to carry the body from the cell to the workroom. I see. So you're saying there was an accomplice? The crime would have been possible if Albert and Dogan were working together. It's perfectly plausible. Somehow, Albert managed to carry Knightley's body to his own cell. And then the dog must carry it to the workroom. Yes, because all the animals can move freely in the prison. But that's not the case of the path between the detention center and the prison. The only one who could use that route was you, J. Albert! What if there was another route that you didn't know about? There could have been. The tunnel is a straight path, is it not? Yeah, seems like it. I didn't have enough time to dig any more than I did. I only dug halfway up the corridor. Moment, was? What? You mean to say that you didn't dig the entire tunnel? When I got to the cell, the tunnel was already there. There was a tunnel linking my cell to the well. Looking down the well from the courtyard, there's no mistaking it. They've always been connected. I just continued the tunnel with my digging. What was that hole doing there in the first place? Who knows? Maybe another inmate dug in an attempt to escape.
Or maybe the animals dug it. Maybe they wanted to drink from the well.
That's highly doubtful. Ja, erinnere dich bitte, da gibt's ja noch den Kroko. There's no water in that well anymore. It's all dried up. Wait a minute. That's it! For some reason, that well gave off a nice scent. A nice scent? I don't know what it was, but it smelled sweet, like candy. Ich habe jetzt gerade hier diese eine Gerätschaft mit dem Teich verwechselt, wo der Kroko war. Sorry. This scent. I believe we've come across it before. We know the scent from... Moment. Ach ja. Crime Scene. Der roch ja auch ziemlich süßlich. Knightley's body was given off a sweet candy-like scent. We used a police dog to track that scent, and that led us to discover the tunnel. By any chance, could this be the same scent as the well? Prosecutor Edgeworth, I know that you're trying to say that the scent proves the body was carried down through the tunnel. Exactly, and... J. Albert, you are the only one who could have used the tunnel. Thank you, Mr. Albert. I'm very grateful to you. At last the truth comes to light. Mr. Albert, wouldn't it be wise to confess now? To being an accomplice, I mean. Don't tell me even you suspect me too. Judge Courtney, it seems you and I have come to the same conclusion. Not at all. Our thoughts on this matter are still quite different. Mr. Albert was certainly an accomplice, but an accomplice to Horace Knightley.
Hold it!
What do you mean? Mr. Albert did not move the body. He simply lent the victim his keys.
What?
It would seem Mr. Albert did indeed strike Mr. Knightley on the head. However, Mr. Knightley was not knocked out. The two must have made a little negotiation. Negotiation? For Mr. Knightley's escape plan to work, he would have needed the keys to his cell. So Mr. Albert stole it from the guard. On the other hand, for Mr. Albert to escape, he needed to get to Mr. Knightley's cell. But if Mr. Knightley had seen him and yelled, the plan would have gone down the drain. And so, they negotiated. I didn't negotiate nothing. Oh, you still intend to deny it? I see. So in other words, we're back where we started. Mr. Albert opened the cell door and Mr. Knightley entered Mr. Key's cage. And then he was moved into the prison. Yeah. Of course! And then he was killed in the prison workroom. Weren't you listening? The scent on the body shows it must have been moved through the tunnel. Knightley was moved from the detention center through the tunnel. Please wait until someone is finished before speaking. I do not claim that he wasn't moved through the tunnel. What? You don't? The scent shows that the body was moved through the tunnel. However, that does not mean it came from the detention center.
What do you mean? That sure sounds like a contradiction to me.
Isn't there one more possibility? The well in the courtyard. It's possible the body was dropped down from there.
The courtyard? Ah, the well in the courtyard!
Mr. Keyes carried the cage not to the workroom, but to the courtyard. Mr. Knightley was killed in the courtyard and his body was dropped down the well. And then the body at the bottom of the well was moved by Mr. Dogan's dog. Now, there's one thing I'd like you all to remember. Before the body was discovered, what was happening in the courtyard?
The animal show, right? Regina and Simon were there. Wait, Simon? Ah!
I see you understand. Who then dropped the body down the well? Judge Courtney. She's a tough opponent. Her flexible way of thinking enables her to adapt and come up with her own deductions. Mr. Knightley was not carried to the workroom, but to the courtyard. And Mr. Keyes was off stage for 15 minutes. This was when he dropped Mr. Knightley down the well. It's as simple as that. Judge Courtney, your reasoning is sound, I'll admit that. However, let's say the body was dropped down the well. That didn't have to be done during the show. It could have happened at a different time. Unfortunately for you, Prosecutor Edgeworth, that is not possible. What? When the show started, Mr. Albert was in the tunnel on his way to the cell block. Mr. Albert, at that time, did you happen to see a body in the tunnel? Nope, nothing like that. So, if the body had been dropped before the show, Mr. Albert would have seen it. However, he has stated he did not see a body. So it is impossible to think the body was dropped before the show. And after the show, the body was discovered in the workroom. In other words, the body being dropped down the well and then moved to the workroom could only have been done during the show. And the only one who could have done it is Simon Keyes. No!
Mr. Edgeworth, what should we do?
If the body was moved through the well, that does put Mr. Keyes at a major disadvantage. However, the notion that the body was moved through the well is only a hypothesis. What doesn't mean there is evidence. I'm obligated to recognize that fact. Will you allow me to investigate the courtyard once more? I give my approval, in the name of the goddess of law. Reinvestigating the courtyard. I fear this may be our final chance. What the? Huh? What?
Fire!
Could be another prison break, pal. Should we evacuate? Das ging schnell. Everyone, please remain calm. This is just a signal for the evening meal.
So penetrant laut? Nur für Fressen?
It's a little loud, so I can understand why you'd be surprised.
It sure scared me.
I'm terribly sorry. And with that, everyone, please return to your posts. J. Albert, it's also time for you to return to your room. Ugh, bah, I got it! Let's go, Rocky. Warden Roland, we will be proceeding to the courtyard for another investigation. Isn't it time for you to go home as well, Mr. Edgeworth? It looks like we're out of time. Why don't you continue this another time? But the investigation! Today's been a big day, right? With the escaped prisoner and all. So I'm afraid I can't let outsiders like you loiter around any longer. This is my decision as the warden of the prison. Looks like it can't be helped. The warden's word can be called the law of the prison. Prosecutor Edgeworth, this means we will have to carry out our investigation another day. Until then, you may hold on to your prosecutor's badge. And with that, I leave you. Wirklich? Ach, come on, Courtney. Es könnten Spuren beseitigt werden. Irgendwie. Von irgendwem. Der das irgendwie mitbekommen hat. Now I think it's time you all left. Well, it looks like we'll have to continue the investigation tomorrow. Knightley's body was dropped down the well, and was carried to the workroom from Mr. Albert's cell. This is Judge Courtney's logic, but is it correct? And Judge Courtney claims that Mr. Keyes transported him, but was Mr. Keyes really the only one with the chance to move him?
Mr. Edgeworth, let's do our best tomorrow. We have to save Simon, no matter what.
Indeed, I agree. I must prove Mr. Keyes' innocence without fail. Wow. Langes Kapitel ist lang. Und das ist gerade mal Kapitel 2. Meine Fresse. Game? Du weißt, wie man Fälle schreibt. Mann. Na gut. Egal ob positiv oder negativ, Bewertung war gern gesehen, das war's meinerseits und wir sehen uns das nächste Mal wieder. Sehr geil.